What happens when two of television's most familiar faces collide in a way no one saw coming? The Kelly Clarkson show was supposed to be just another cheerful stop on Trevor Noah's press tour. Instead, what unfolded left the studio stunned, and the entertainment world buzzing. The lights were bright, the set perfectly polished. Kelly beamed her trademark smile as she welcomed Trevor, who sat across from her in a tailored suit, ready for the usual easy banter. The audience expected jokes, charm, and maybe a heartwarming story. What they got was something else entirely. "So, Trevor," Kelly began warmly, "I have to ask about your recent comments on comedy and cancel culture. Some people are saying you've gone soft since leaving The Daily Show." Trevor's brow lifted, surprise flickering across his face. "Soft? That's one way to put it. I'd say I've evolved. There's a difference between being soft and being thoughtful about the impact of your words." "But isn't that exactly what comedy's meant to do? Push boundaries?" Kelly leaned forward, her tone sharper now. "If you're constantly worrying about feelings, doesn't that kill the art? Even I've been called too safe, too vanilla." The audience shifted, sensing this wasn't the Kelly they knew. Trevor's composure held, though his jaw tightened. "Kelly, being considerate isn't censorship. When you reach millions of people, you have responsibility. I lived through apartheid. I can joke about it. But making jokes about someone else's trauma, that's not comedy. That's cruelty." Kelly's smile faltered, then hardened. "But isn't that a little patronizing? Assuming people can't handle humor about their own struggles? I've been through divorce, body image battles, family drama, and I can laugh about all of it. Maybe the real problem is people are just too sensitive." "Too sensitive?" Trevor repeated, his voice low. "When you went through divorce, did you want strangers mocking it on TV while you were still hurting? Or did you want the space to decide when to laugh about it yourself?" "That's different," Kelly shot back, her voice rising. "I'm a public figure. We sign up for this. And some of the greatest comedy ever came from pain. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Chappelle. They didn't hold back. And look what happened to Chappelle," Trevor countered, his accent sharpening with emotion. He walked away from $50 million because his comedy was being consumed in ways he never intended. People weren't laughing with him. They were laughing at the communities he cared about. That's the difference between punching up and punching down. Behind the cameras, Kelly's producer signaled frantically, trying to rein things in, but Kelly leaned in, energized. "Where does it end, Trevor? Do we stop joking about anything that might hurt feelings? My audience doesn't come here to be lectured. They come to laugh, to escape, to feel good. And there's nothing wrong with that." Trevor replied evenly. "But laughter shouldn't come at the cost of someone else's dignity. You can be funny without being cruel. I've done it for years." Kelly's eyes narrowed. "Have you, though? Because it looks to me like you've traded edge for applause from people who were never your audience. The Trevor Noah, who roasted politicians and celebrities without mercy. Where did he go?" The silence in the room was electric. Trevor gave a dry, humorless laugh. "He grew up, Kelly. He realized that getting laughs at someone else's expense isn't comedy. It's bullying with better timing. Maybe that's hard to understand when your entire career was built on being America's sweetheart, never forced to challenge anything, or anyone." Kelly's expression hardened, her carefully polished mask slipping at last. "I never told anyone they were terrible people." Trevor shot back, his voice clipped, his patience thinning. "I told them laughter has consequences. There's a difference." Kelly leaned forward, her hands gripping the edge of her chair, knuckles whitening. And I'm telling you, people don't need a lecture every time they want to smile. They don't tune into me for philosophy. They tune in because life is hard and they need a break. That's not empty, Trevor. That's humanity. Trevor's jaw flexed, his tone dropping to something dangerously calm. Humanity isn't about distracting people from their problems with easy answers, Kelly. It's about giving them the truth, even when it stings. You call that connection. I call it sedation. The words hit like a slap. The audience gasped audibly, some covering their mouths, others murmuring nervously. Kelly blinked hard, her smile long gone, her voice trembling with controlled fury. Sedation? Is that what you think of me? Of my show? Of everything I've built? Her laugh was short, bitter, nothing like the warm persona viewers were used to. I've given people joy in some of the hardest moments of their lives. If that makes me a sedative, then fine. But at least I'm not standing on a pedestal pretending I'm saving the world with punchlines. Trevor didn't flinch. He leaned back, unbothered, his eyes locked on her. I'm not pretending, Kelly. I know what I've done. I've made people uncomfortable in ways that forced them to think. I'd rather be hated for telling the truth than loved for telling bedtime stories. The tension in the room was unbearable. Producers were whispering, frantically off stage, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let it ride. Kelly's breathing was sharp now, her composure unraveling by the second. She rose from her chair slowly, her heels clicking against the stage floor as the studio fell into complete silence. You know what, Trevor? She said, her voice low but shaking with rage. If telling stories that make people smile is such a crime, then I'm guilty. But I will never sit here and let someone diminish my work, my life, because it doesn't fit their definition of important. The audience was frozen, eyes darting between the two. Trevor stood as well, not aggressively, but with a quiet steadiness. And I won't sit here and let you confuse comfort with courage. For a beat, neither moved. Then Kelly's chair scraped sharply as she pushed it back. She grabbed her cue cards from the side table with trembling hands, holding them against her chest like armor. I'm done, she said, her voice breaking into a mix of fury and finality. This was supposed to be a conversation. Instead, you came here to tear me down. I won't give you another second of my platform. Gasps, murmurs, a few shouts from the audience. Kelly turned on her heel and strode toward the wings, her steps deliberate, the cameras catching every second. Trevor didn't move, watching her leave, his face unreadable. The silence in the room was deafening, until the audience, unsure what to do, erupted into a chaotic mix of applause, boos, and stunned chatter. The broadcast cut to black. Human? Trevor repeated, his voice catching just slightly, the first crack in his otherwise controlled armor. Kelly, don't talk to me about humanity when everything you do on this stage is scripted within an inch of its life. That's not humanity. That's performance. Kelly's hands trembled as she wiped furiously at the smudges under her eyes. Performance? Trevor, I sing about heartbreak. I sing about resilience. I sing about survival. I bare my soul in front of millions. That's not performance. That's courage. Trevor leaned forward, his eyes locked on hers. No, Kelly. Courage is standing in the fire and saying the hard thing, knowing people will hate you for it. Courage is risking your career for truth. You've never risked anything, because you've built an empire on staying safe. The audience was dead silent, the only sound the faint hum of the studio lights. Kelly's chest rose and fell sharply, her anger now threaded with something raw, hurt. You think I'm safe? Her voice cracked but grew louder with every word. Try living through a divorce in the public eye. Try raising kids while every magazine calls you a failure. Try rebuilding your life after the world decides you're disposable. Safe? Nothing about my life has ever been safe. Trevor exhaled slowly, the storm in his eyes softening for just a moment before hardening again. And yet, when you had the chance to use that pain to challenge people to tell the truth, you chose to package it into something neat and palatable. A feel-good hour, a sing-along, a distraction. You turned survival into background noise. Kelly's chair screeched as she shoved it aside, her entire body trembling with rage. "Get out!" she hissed, her voice breaking, raw and jagged. "You've crossed a line." Trevor stood, smooth and deliberate, his tall frame casting a shadow over the desk between them. His accent cut through the silence, sharp and unyielding. "I didn't cross a line, Kelly. I drew one. And you showed the world exactly which side you're standing on." The studio erupted into chaos, some audience members cheering, others booing, producers waving frantically for a commercial break. Cameras zoomed wildly, catching Kelly with her mascara streaking down her cheeks, and Trevor walking calmly toward the wings, his words still hanging in the air like smoke after an explosion. "Kelly, being human means caring about more than just yourself and your bottom line. Being human means using your platform to lift people up, not just to sell them products and empty promises that everything will be okay if they just keep consuming. And who made you the arbiter of how people should use their platforms?" Kelly shot back, her voice sharp. "Who gave you the right to decide what's worthy entertainment and what isn't? You act like you're some kind of moral authority, but you're just another celebrity with opinions like the rest of us." Trevor let the silence stretch, the weight of her words hanging in the air. His eyes moved slowly across the studio, the glaring lights, the rigid cameras, the audience sitting frozen as though afraid to breathe. When he spoke again, his tone was quieter, touched with something fragile. "You're right, Kelly. I'm just another celebrity with opinions. But at least my opinions come from a place of wanting to make things better, not just wanting people to feel comfortable with how things are. At least when I had my platform, I tried to use it for more than selling books or promoting movies. More than," Kelly echoed, her voice brittle. "Always more than with you, isn't it? Your pain is more valid. Your comedy is more meaningful. Your purpose is more noble. Well, congratulations, Trevor. You've successfully made everyone in this room feel terrible about themselves. I hope that sense of superiority was worth it." Her words landed like embers from a fire that had burned too hot, too fast. Trevor studied her face for a long beat, and for the first time that evening, the sharpness left his eyes. He saw the wear beneath her anger, the fatigue she had tried to bury. "Kelly," he said softly, "I didn't come here to hurt you. I came here because I respect what you've built, even if I don't always agree with how you built it. But when you questioned my integrity, when you suggested I'd sold out or gone soft, that touched a nerve. Maybe I overreacted." Kelly's hand trembled as she wiped her cheek, smearing her makeup further. "Maybe we both did," she whispered. "But Trevor, you can't just waltz onto someone's show and tear apart everything they've worked for just because you disagree with their approach. That's not criticism. That's cruelty." "You're right," Trevor admitted, the words catching even him by surprise. "And I'm sorry for that. But Kelly, you can't ask someone to be authentic and then get angry when they give you authenticity you don't like. You wanted the real Trevor Noah. Well, this is him. Flawed, opinionated, and yes, sometimes cruel when he feels cornered." The studio held its breath. The only sound was the steady hum of the air conditioning. Between them stretched a gulf that felt far wider than a few feet of stage. "I think," Trevor said at last, his voice final. This interview is over. He unclipped his microphone and set it gently on the coffee table between them. Thank you for having me on your show, Kelly. I hope your audience got what they came for. And with that, he turned and walked off the set, each footstep echoing in the heavy silence. Kelly didn't move. She stood staring after him until the spell broke with her producer rushing onto the set. "We're going to commercial," he announced briskly. But Kelly wasn't listening. Her eyes stayed locked on the spot Trevor had just vacated, her mind trying to process what had unraveled. The audience remained hushed, wide-eyed, aware they had witnessed something raw and unscripted, something that would be dissected for years. They had come expecting light entertainment. What they got instead was a masterclass in how quickly everything collapses when two strong personalities collide without the cushion of polite, practiced pleasantries. As the cameras finally cut, the only voice left was Kelly's, small, shaken, and directed at no one in particular. What just happened here? What do you think really caused this explosive confrontation between two of television's most likable personalities? Was Trevor right to call out what he saw as shallow entertainment? Or did he cross a line by attacking Kelly so personally? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more shocking celebrity stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about your favorite stars.